Hello and welcome to Unacademy. I welcome you all to this session in which we'll be discussing 5 to 6 very important articles out of the Hindu newspaper. But before we begin, we have to discuss two very important announcements. Good morning to all of you. Good to see you. First is that the 24,999 plus 1 month extension offer is live right now, and the code IS English has to be used to be tagged to our team. But what we are more excited about is something which will be revealed on 23rd on Saturday, which is a companion, which is something which will help you in your preparation. So this big reveal is going to happen on 23rd of August, and I hope that you will join us live at 7:30 p.m. on the UPSC Unstoppables channel. So brace for this, and I hope that you're equally excited for it. Good morning. Now, let's look at the topics we are going to discuss because Bihar SIR has been in the news now quite a long time now. So again, we have 3 to 4 important articles related to it. But first, we'll discuss the need for a national space law. Then we'll talk about a controversy wherein the electoral rolls, in what format it is available to the opposition, to you and me, that has been questioned. Then two topics which will go together. As I told you, data point is trying to analyze the data which the EC has released for Bihar SIR. And these two articles go together, wherein again a very interesting, we have previously discussed, I have discussed about women being excluded more out of the SIR. And again, there is a very interesting data which has come through. We'll discuss that. Then we'll talk about online gaming for all the Dream 11 and the Jungli Rummy fans in the class. There will be an issue very soon once this bill is going to pass the Raj Sabha and get the assent of the president also. Then we'll talk about Agni 5 and we'll end with the International Solar Alliance and what is the new development which has happened. There are three articles which were categorically excluded because all three were politically motivated. Please do understand this point. Politically motivated articles, be it in an editorial, are totally useless for you. Meaning, if they have been written by a sitting member of the parliament who may be a opposition member, there is a lot of propaganda in those type of articles. There were three such articles which have been categorically excluded, which were politically motivated, were naming political parties, and as a civil servant you should not go into these type of areas. If there is a certain controversy with regards to constitutional bodies and everything, that is a separate issue altogether. But if it's an opinion piece which has been pushed through as an editorial, you avoid it because that will color your understanding, and you have to, in a way, give a balanced approach. Therefore, we have, or I have in a way made sure that we are not going that alley. Because if you will get a lot of information which is negatively or has a lot of propaganda inbuilt into it, then you may exhibit it somewhere where you may get into trouble. So therefore, all these articles are relevant. The relevance of the article matters. The volume does not matter here. The quality of the article matters. And that is where these 7 to 8 articles have been chosen, which will constructively contribute to your preparation. Now, let's start with our first article, which is, why does India need a national space law? Do we have one? And if we don't have one, what are the challenges? And what is the existing framework? Now, if you remember the pattern in which I conduct this session, I will give you an understanding, a larger perspective, then we'll go into the nitty-gritties, and then I'll keep on summarizing and revising as we move ahead so that you don't have to watch this session again. So it will be multiple revisions with details coming through once you understand the overarching framework. Now, this article talks about the concept of a space law because India is making a lot of strides in the space zone. So the space sector, with regards to ISRO, India is making a lot of strides, be it the Chandrayaan program, be it the Gaganyaan program, be it whatever future plans we made. We have now tested docking technology. We have also tested, in a way, AI technology or artificial intelligence, which will most probably push into the orbit very soon. And therefore, India's lunar, or be it the Mars mission, or be it its own understanding of having an Antrix space station, it is where, when India will celebrate its second National Space Day on 23rd of August, the same day we will be revealing a very important companion for you. The the idea is India needs to regulate this sector equally. So, space is a collective resource. We'll talk about where does this concept come from, how is it a collective resource, and at the same point of time, because it is a collective resource, there is an international responsibility, but it is also a commercial area. Because with multiple private sector or private actors now entering, SpaceX being the biggest actor in that regard, there's a need to further regulate that. So there is one which is national interest, the other one is the commercialized interest of space in that regard. Now, this is where we have to understand what is the existing framework and why India needs to create a national framework, because India does not have a proper space policy or a centralized authority which could then, for national interest, we have the ISRO, but not a centralized authority with regards to how the decisions are taken. For the commercial interest, we have InSpace, we'll discuss what that is, and therefore we'll keep on adding details. The premise of this article is very simple, which is that with India expanding its horizon with regards to commercial and national security, or you can say national interest based space exploration, India needs a space policy. Then, what are the challenges in that? So, this is the premise. Now, the international framework under which space is regulated is called the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. It's a product of the space race which was happening during the Cold War, wherein you have the USSR and the USA rivalry, which was dictating a lot of things. And because the war was now mushrooming into outer space, the OST actually talked about space being a neutral zone, being for all mankind, and therefore a collective resource. Meaning you cannot, or one country cannot claim, though Donald Trump would disagree with me on that, one country cannot claim to say that the space is their own. So therefore, it is a global common, it is a collective resource, and it places responsibility on all the nations to use it wisely, to conduct themselves in the right way, and also regulate the private entities of their countries in the space sector in how they use it. So it is about rights, it is about responsibilities, it is also about liability. Meaning, with so much space debris, with human, you can say, mankind's future being in the space sector and its exploration, it is important that the governments and the private entities conduct themselves in the best way possible. And therefore, from peaceful use to the liabilities which are pushed through by new technologies, new satellites, all of it is done or is conducted within the OST Outer Space Treaty of 1967. Do understand one thing, that the context of this law was, or this, you can say, treaty was based on a certain rivalry, on a certain space race. Though that context is not there, but now there are multiple actors. China, the US, Japan, EU, and India, along with Russia, being the main actors. Others are trying to enter, but China, US, Russia being the three main actors in that regard. Japan is known for its peaceful use, JAX, and EU again, with France being the most leading member in which it is able to push in different satellites. But these three members dominate this sector. Now that we understand that there is a legal framework, it is not self-executing. This is a word which you will see in different articles related to this concept, which is Non-self-executing means that you have to ratify it and create a national framework which then aligns with this principle, meaning it is just a guiding light. And therefore, when we talk about national laws or national legislation, the idea is to develop a safe, sustainable, and internationally responsible law which can then be ratified. India did ratify these space treaties, but India does not have a national space policy or national space law per se. And this is the whole point of this article. National space law is not there. Now, the article now turns away from this concept. Before I move to the second part, what have we established? In the first part we have established very simply that it is a the concept of space usage is a global common. We have also established that the OST 1967 gives you the framework under which you can then use the space, and the dominant actors, all of them have space laws and policies, but India does. Now the question is, what are the principles which India needs to ratify to create a space law, and what are the challenges there? This is where the article argues, and you have to use the two terms which have been used in that regard. The article argues that India's approach towards space policy is based on methodological, and incremental, meaning as we are moving into new sectors, as we are moving into new horizons, we are incrementally changing our law or enacting certain laws. Now, there are two principles which are considered to be the most important principles of the OST. One is commercial usage, the other one is national policy. What does this mean? I'll in the end bring everything on one slide. Don't worry. Just follow the basic concepts. I will bring everything on one slide, what you can use for the examination. Don't worry about that. I'm first giving you the arguments which are important for the examination. First, foremost, there is an OST which is an international framework for global usage of or global common usage of the space. India needs a space policy. Now, in order to create that space policy, two principles have to be followed, which is under Article 6 of the OST. They have to make sure that the commercial entities are in a way governed properly. And the second one is that under OST, generally, you need a policy framework. You need a policy framework which is overarching, which is overarching. Now, with regards to first and second, I'll tell you what this right now here itself. India has been able to sort out the commercial aspect, meaning India has frameworks, policies which are running in this sector. But the problem is we don't have any intervention here. And this is where the article argues with no overarching policy, what is going to happen is this policy is going to become redundant. And that is why the challenges are also emerging. Now, what do I mean by commercial having a certain space or understanding? See, India has been regulating the space industry and its commercial usage in a very good way. It has one very important body which is called In Space, which creates the norms, which creates the framework under which commercial sector or private entities can enter the space technology area. But as I said, the second is not there. Now, what is In Space? We are going into the static. In Space, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center is a autonomous agency which is also independent, single window, nodal agency under Department of Space, Government of India. And its basic understanding is to promote, enable, and authorize all private understanding within the space sector. Krishna, you are going to get the PDF of the class in the Telegram group. Don't worry about that. That will be shared. I will let you know in the end where you will get it. So, In Space basically is a nodal authority which was created, autonomous agency created under the Department of Space so as to regulate the commercial. Now, this division of having commercial policy and having no national policy has now created issues. But before I move to this part, let me first bring everything together. Can I do that? We have now covered the two major components of this article, which is trying to create a coherent picture. And I'll talk about it in the most simplest way possible so that you can use it in the examination. Can we discuss that aspect? Wherein till this point I can consolidate. I can do that? Yes, sir. Bahadur says yes, sir. Okay. Now see. Space is a collective resource. We all have agreed to that. Global common. If it is a collective resource, you need an international law or international framework because each country has its own understanding. That comes through the Outer Space Treaty, which is the OST 1967, a product of Cold War politics. The OST 1967 says that you have to use it in a safe, sustainable, responsible manner so that we all can go ahead together. OST runs on two principles. First on commercial usage, the other one on overall national regulation. This is what we've established till this point. Thereafter, what India has done, India did ratify this. India has created a nodal agency here to regulate commercial. But India does not have an overall arching national policy. National space law is not there. India wants to use it in a safe manner. India wants to use it in a sustainable manner and a responsible manner. Now, this schism, this differentiation will obviously create challenges. Because if you don't have a national policy, but you have a commercial policy, then challenges are going to emerge. Now, if you understand till this point, then I will go into the second part, which is what are the challenges? Yes, it is contradictory. It should be complementary, but contradictory right now. Can we discuss the challenges now? I will then summarize everything in the end in what are the challenges also we face. But till this point, everybody should be on the same page with me. We will not go into hi-fi. We will not go into so much depth that we cannot come out and we cannot use in the examination. You have to create an overarching framework in your mind, which you can use in the examination. Yes, sir. Very good. Now, because there is no national policy and there is commercial policy, what are the challenges which it creates? The challenges is first, if there would have been a national law, then licensing, procedure, timelines, fees, and reasons for acceptance and denial with regards to private contracts would have been based in one authority, one agency, and not be based on multiple ministerial approval. Meaning, as of right now, if you want to create a certain startup which launches rockets, you need Department of Space, you need approval from the MHA, you also need approval from the defense agencies, you also need approval from the PMO, you need, because these are critical industries, critical areas, you need a lot of different, you can say, regulatory approvals, which an individual has to seek with each of these departments. So what is the issue is multiple ministerial approvals. So this creates an issue, no one body or authority. And see, for commercial usage, you have to first establish the national interest or the national security interest also. So you can't enter this sector without first establishing an authority or an agency or an entity which also has national security approvals. So therefore, commercial without national policy is therefore creating issues. So first is multiple red tapeism, if you want to call it. Second, because space technology is dual use. Dual use mean it has both civilian, which is for example remote sensing, but military, because we can use the same satellite to spy on our, you can say, allies and our enemies. So therefore, ministerial clearances are even more difficult to get. So with no single clearance window, with no centralization, and with dual use in context, with military usage in context, you further have to go into more relativism. Then FDI, there's a confusing regime, meaning certain parts of the rocket you have FDI, certain parts you don't have. Further, 100% FDI, if it was there through automatic route, then the capital which is needed would then be available to the startup. See, here we as UPSC aspirants disagree with the article. Foreign direct investment in space technology is not a good thing. That too automatic. Though the article says that this is a challenge, we disagree with this. We will not write this in the examination because in critical sectors, foreign investment is not a good thing. Dual use means military and civil use both, meaning for remote sensing, which is weather technology, but also at the same point of time using it for military purposes. So it is a sensitive sector. So I think we all can agree that we don't agree with the article here. This is not a valid point. FDI in critical sectors makes no sense, but it says that this also creates a challenge. Then there is an issue of insurance, a very bigger issue of insurance, which is internationally there is liability. Meaning if you are, for example, performing a testing of a rocket, somebody has to insure that rocket because a third party insurance and a third party investor would like his capital to be locked in the right sector. So we don't have an insurance framework for this sector again. Further, we also don't have proper mandatory accident investigation procedures. For example, a rocket falls into a residential area. Do we have the procedures to check if there was right debris management, if there was proper framework which was used or not? So therefore, an appellate body, a, a centralized body, none of this is available. And over and above that, in India, there's one more issue, which is intellectual property rights. The IPR related to space technology is not there. We don't have a regime where we protect the knowledge through which we are using these things. So then anybody can come and buy that startup and make it a foreign entity. So let's bring all of this together in one slide. The challenges I've discussed with you, but most probably you've not been able to follow them properly because there are a lot of them. Let's create a framework which we can use, and this is the mind map through which we will revise this topic. Nothing out of the box, very straightforward article, but because it has complicated issues, let's bring everything together on one slide. Right. So, what have we established till this point? We have established that space is a global common. The Outer Space Treaty, the OST 1967, creates the international framework through which safe, sustainable, and responsible usage of the space can happen. Two principles are used in that. First is commercial. The second one is national, overall, you can say national regulatory framework. India has a certain commercial framework, but India does not have a national space law. This disjuncture creates challenges. Now, what are the challenges which we are talking about? What are the challenges which we are talking about? Let's put them on paper so that we can also revise at the same point of time. So, what are the challenges which come through? Can we discuss this point? Everybody is following me. I hope. I'm taking it in the slowest manner possible, straightforward. Now we are completing the whole article, rounding it up. I have a question in which you can use this framework also. Yes, sir. Very good, sir. Okay. The first issue is multiple ministries. So red tapeism. Second, dual use technology. So national security angle. Third is no IPR regime to protect the knowledge. No insurance regime to protect capital. Fifth, no debris accident or regulatory mechanism after launch or mishap. Sixth, yes, no accident investigation procedure, because that has to be uniform in that regard. So if you take all these six into consideration, I have removed the FDI one. You can understand that this juncture is creating critical issues in the commercial sector also. So if you get a question such as this, India needs a space policy to unlock its potentiality in this frontier. Discuss the challenges in this regard. Basically, the answer to this question is this. You just have to write it in point para form, which is in the introduction, then the main points, and thereafter the conclusion. Conclusion is there is a need because there are challenges. Challenges, 6 I have listed. You can elaborate on any one. Sorted, everyone? Make sense? This article is complicated, the only complicated article I will say, because it has 4-5 angles together. Can we move to the second article? Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everybody saying yes, sir. Very good. Great. So let's then move on to the next article. Okay. Now, the second article deals with, again, electoral rolls, which have been in the news quite a lot. There has been a proper back and forth between the opposition and the chief election commissioner. And there's a very interesting point which has emerged in that conversation. And that interesting point is related to how, in what form is the electoral roll available. Now, what is an electoral roll? Very simple, straightforward, static concept. It is a list of who is and isn't allowed to vote in India based on citizenship. You have to apply to the, you can say, election commission to be added into it. Election commission as a constitutional body has the power to create it. Under the Representation of People's Act 1950, Article 15, 16, 19 and 21, it has the power to create, revise the electoral roll. And this electoral roll is made available to us. It is made available to us at a district level. What you do is, when you apply to an election office, when you apply to the, you can say, officials which are trying to do an SIR or are revising it, this software which they use is called Aeronet. Aeronet is a software which the Election Commission uses to update, process, and add new voters at the constituency level. This full repository is available to everyone through the Election Commission website. So you and me have the right to check the electoral list. The EC has the right to revise it, and it should be available on the website in a readable format. I think nothing out of the box. We all know that the Election Commission has the power to create and revise this list. We A new thing which we got to know through this process is what is a software which they use, which is called Aeronet. Aeronet basically updates and creates this whole concept in that regard. And uh, as a rule, or as per tradition, as per election commission traditions, it is made available to everyone on the election commission website in a readable format. Now this is where the whole controversy has emerged. Now I have two documents behind me right now, 1 and 2. Tell me out of which can you copy and paste? Both are PDFs. Both are PDFs. Out of which 1 or 2 can you copy and paste? Rohan says 2 you can copy and paste. Devendra saying right one, your right, my right, but second one. Basically, Anu saying second. Devendra is in a way saying second. So second you can copy and paste. Now tell me why can't you copy and paste from the first one? This is what you do. This is a standard process of a UPSC aspirant. Create PDFs, upload them. MR Grill will not happen in both. Will only happen in first, rather in the second. See, handwriting one. See, both are PDFs, but this is called an image PDF. This is called a text PDF. When you scan your certificates and then upload it into a server, it is an image PDF. When the notification of the UPSC comes through, it is a text PDF. The difference being from an image PDF, you can read it, you can see it in PDF format, but you can't copy and paste easily. Meaning, if I press Control and F or Command and F in the first one, nothing will happen. Because for Acrobat Reader or for Adobe, this is just an image which is in PDF form. You need a very specific type of software which is called OCR. It's an optical reader which then would read each and every word. And thereafter, that is why you must have seen some documents of the government of India can be copied, pasted, you can find things in it. Some cannot be because it was created as an image PDF. Some was created as a text PDF. Text PDF, individual words can be picked up. Basically, if you take a Word file and convert it into a PDF, it will become a text PDF. But if you take an image and convert it into a PDF, it becomes an image PDF. This is very critical to understand this concept. Do we understand this difference? The image PDF concept and the text PDF concept. Now, why is it important? Because if I give an artificial intelligence based understanding, or if I give ChatGPT the first one, it is most probably going to read it wrong, even if it is using OCR. Second one, it will be able to process better. That is why when you want summaries of articles, a handwritten article summary will not come as accurate as a, for example, website based or a PDF which is text PDF. Because AI or machine learning will not be able to read the PDF in the proper way. Now, this is the whole controversy in that regard. What the opposition party and what the activists are saying, and that is where the whole concept also lies, is that when the election commission makes the electoral roll available to the opposition, to the public, it is making it available in image PDF format and not text PDF format. Now, this is where the Mahadevpura constituency controversy comes through, because if it is a image PDF, it is very difficult to find duplicates. You can't do Control F. You need human eyes and human resources to properly scan that article. With 99 crore voters and more close to 2000 PDFs which are available on the Election Commission website to look for duplication, to look for fraud in an image PDF format. If I give Google the contract to make all of them image to text, it would cost $40,000 to do half of them. It is a time-taking exercise, and therefore the Election Commission is being accused to make the process of electoral rolls being available more complicated so that the people cannot properly check if there is duplication or not. This is the accusation, this is the allegation of the opposition party. So the whole controversy is that because the data is accessible in image PDF file, it is not available in text PDF file. There is a whole process in which you need a lot of human resources. Human reviewers are needed with a certain time period, with certain geographical limited sample. The process is very, very difficult. The opposition Islam, they want it in text PDF format so that it would become easier to index and it would become machine readable. Image PDF is not machine readable. The way you make an image PDF into a text PDF is by putting it through a certain process. And that process is called optical character recognition, OCR, very old technology. Now, when did Election Commission move from text to image? Because it's very interesting. Till 2019, the electoral roll which was available on the website used to be in text PDF format. But since 2019, it has become image PDF format. There was a lot of controversy which happened in 2019 also. And that is where the election commissioner or the election officials had argued that we have done this because we don't want foreign countries to use the voter roll data and use it for, you can say, either commercial purposes or purposes which would be detrimental for India itself. Because name, address, and age can be ascertained through this data. Therefore, somebody can sell this data. Then when this transition happened, Kamal Nath took this issue to the Supreme Court. That how can you change the format from text to image? The Supreme Court itself also argued that we will not compel the Election Commission to make it machine readable because there is merit to the argument here. That at the end of the day, if you want to use it as a text PDF, you do conversion through OCR. So therefore, legal and judicial precedents both says that Election Commission is not compelled to give image or text. Now what to do with this information? I have given you the summarization, the understanding of this article. But what to do with this information? Now, there are three things you should now know. First, that the Election Commission makes the electoral roll data available on the website. Before 2019, it used to be in text PDF format. After 2019, it is in image PDF format. Second thing is, when this happened, what was the reason which was given? It was national security. That we cannot make available 99 crore people's data available to any actor who wants to use it and misuse it. Thereafter, Kamal Nath versus Election Commission of India, Supreme Court said that this is a merit-based argument and this is valid. So Election Commission is in its right to give it in image PDF. Now, what is the demerit of this? The demerit of this is difficult to read, OCR is expensive, and therefore when it is difficult to read, difficult to see duplication and fraud. And all of this has come into focus because of this. The Mahadevpura constituency of Bangalore, where 11,965 duplicate entries were found. The opposition argued that this may have been done in other places also, but because it is so difficult to read and we do not have the resources, we may be not able to ascertain it, or this process needs to be expedited more quickly. So give us text PDF, not image PDF. Now, you tell me one thing. Is it the right of the opposition to get it in text PDF format? Is the EC legally or judicially obligated to give it in text PDF format? If conversion possible using OCR, that Devendra would have been happening already. That is a separate issue altogether. No. It is not in the right to get it in text PDF. It is the right of the opposition and you and me to get it as a resource, as a data. Image and text we don't dictate. Election Commission, as it deems correct, can upload the data and make it public, but you and me cannot dictate in what form. Even the Supreme Court has given the Election Commission the power to, in a way, say that you decide how you want to push it. So the gist of the argument is, we should know Kamal Nath versus Election Commission of India. We should know that there was national security issues, though, as Devendra said, that if somebody wanted it, if there is a will, there is a way. But the idea is the opposition may make accusations, but the Election Commission of India is not obligated to make it available in text PDF. Even the Supreme Court has backed the ECI for that. Sorted, everyone. But how EC can deny legislative? Rohan, it is not a legislative demand. It has not come from the parliament. It is coming from a political party. Executive responsibility is there over legislation, but ECI is not a legislative or a executive body. It is a constitutional body. It is not mandated by the constitution to share it also. So what responsibility you are bringing in? Firstly, it is not the government of India which is asking for it. It is the opposition which is asking for it. And therefore, over and above that, it is a political party which is asking for it. So there is no legal precedence for them to dictate the ECI, which is a constitutional body, to then say, no, you have to give it in PDF format, which is text PDF. The ECI is making it available in image PDF format is enough to show that it is giving its, or it is pushing its obligation. They share the role with the political parties in hard copy format also. It is the problem of the opposition to convert it into text PDF format. It is not a constitutional right as of right now or legal right for them to say that we wanted text PDF. Interesting concept. How relevant for the examination, time will tell. But I wanted to bring in Kamal Nath versus ECI. I hope all of that is sorted. Yes? Can we move to the third one? Come on. Yeah, it is an interesting concept. Okay. Sorted? Great. Now, we all know that there's a special revision, intensive revision of the electoral roll happening in Bihar. I hope this is not something new for you. Now, for at least 1.5 months, this has been going on. Now, there's a article which comes in the Hindu newspaper, which is called Data Point. Mostly it reads government reports, the concept of the economic survey. Right now, Data Point is trying to understand the SIR data. So the systematic intensive revision, which is happening as of right now, 67 lakh voters prima facie have been removed from the Bihar electoral roll based on 3 to 4 criteria. Either they are not to be found, which is they are absconding, no No record whatsoever. Either they are dead, either they have migrated permanently. And the most important concept which was quoted was either they are not eligible to vote, which is they were they had fake documents, or they are illegal migrants. Therefore, they are not citizen of India. SIR is a process which the Election Commission can do, and it is in its right to do it. Now, if you remember, 1 week back, I had the same discussion with you with regards to SIR, wherein there was a pattern which was emerging. The pattern was women have been excluded more than men in this 67 lakh. Meaning more women have been removed than men. In that article, the data point tried to figure out, okay, if more women have been removed, then the death rate of women should be higher. But that was not ascertained. That was not the case. Data was not telling us that the death rate of women was higher than men. Death rate was extremely similar till COVID. Thereafter, it has become, again, it is intersecting. Thereafter, if that is the case, then migration of women should be more than men. That is self-contradictory, because most of the migration which happens from Bihar is single male migration, and that too circular, meaning they will go out in a certain season, they will come back in a certain season. So this was also not ascertained. This was an article which came 2 weeks back. So the argument which was given was, because literacy rate of women is much, much, much lower than men, they were not able to either fill the form, or they did not have the correct resources to show their citizenship, and therefore in turn be part of the SIR after 2003 revision. This was the conclusion which had come through, that women are being disenfranchised because of systemic issues about, I'll say systemic exclusion of women in the schools and in the education sector. And that has now become an impediment where people have to sell movable property and even food for their, or even money for their food, to fill this form up. Because this SIR is not based on door-to-door campaign. It is door-to-door campaign plus a enumeration form has to be filled. Now, this data point further complicates this concept. See, we know that more women have been removed from the electoral roll than men. Now, after the Supreme Court asked for the data in more systematic manner, the 65 deleted voters data was analyzed by the Hindu team of Data Point. And there is now one more pattern which is emerging, which is women electors significantly outnumbered men who have been excluded under the permanently shifted category. Meaning, death and migration was not able to properly explain it. But there is under migration a category called permanently migrated or permanently shifted, meaning they left the state. Now, in this data, there is again a very interesting pattern which is emerging. Now, tell me one thing. Before I go into the data, I'm asking your wisdom on this. The number of women who married and shifted out of Bihar should be more than, should be equal to, should be less than the number of men who migrated for employment or what is called as seasonal migration. You tell me, it is A, B or C? Your wisdom I want to know. Married women should be more than, less than, equal to men who have shifted out of seasonal migration. It should be first scenario. Very good. Tushar, very good. Shri, very good. Bahadur, very good. Namita. As per logic, if you understand the employment data of India, if you look at the census data also, it makes sense to come to the conclusion that married women who permanently shifted out would be less than the men who migrate, meaning migration obviously would outnumber marriage. It is quite obvious. Not everybody is marrying in Bihar only. And not every woman in Bihar is being married outside the state. But the interesting thing is the data is suggesting otherwise. It is saying women have married permanently shifted more than migration. And this is where the SIR data exclusion is creating even more questions. The data is suggesting women who have married outside Bihar, they are outnumbering men who have shifted out of Bihar for migration. Now, this is you can say this is a paradoxical data, but let's look at the data also. See, based out of the 9 constituencies where the biggest difference has been seen, it has turned out that F means female, M means male, percentage, F female minus male. If it is positive, then more female. If it is negative, then more men. Now, as it turns out, permanently shifted data of women is quite high, meaning under not found, enrolled elsewhere, dead, and permanently shifted. For women, the reason why women have been excluded more out than men, the reason is being given that they have been permanently shifted out. They have gone out of Bihar itself. Now, if that is the case, then if we look at the age bracket in which permanently shifted concept comes through, it is in the marriageable age that the shift is the highest, meaning 44% difference, data point difference is there between female and men in 18 to 29, which means that in marriageable age, the migration is more permanently shifted. Now, the question which the Hindu is asking is the higher deletion among women due to exclusion of younger married women who have shifted to other states? That would explain women exclusion more than men. But it was not death, it was not migration. Then it is most probably, if it is not this, if it is not this, if it is not this, then it has to be permanent migration. And this is where the data point now brings in census data. Based on 2011 data, marriage and work, women marriage was one of the biggest reasons for permanent, you can say, shifting. But looking at the data from Bihar, 17.7 lakh women had shifted out of Bihar due to marriage, in comparison to 43,000 men. In contrast, 21 lakh men shifted out of Bihar due to work. In comparison, only 1.5 lakh women did that. Therefore, this leads to migration of women 38.5 lakhs, outnumbering women 36.02 lakhs. The data does not matter. What is the conclusion? The conclusion is men migrating is outnumbering women, and this would have also got expedited, became bigger during the 14 years between 2011 when the last census happened. Now, what are the questions which emerge for which we don't have answers? How is that women migrants, why have more migrant women been excluded than migrant men? Is it because the male elector had shifted before 2003 and he was already excluded? And these migrations then mean that women had been disenfranchised without actually looking at the data properly. So there is no answer here. There's only one question. How can it be that more women permanently shifted than more men migrating out of Bihar? Now, this is where I will leave your, you can say, wisdom to decide. The data is not adding up somehow. This is the biggest issue. The data is not adding up in any way. If you take census data, if you take the SIR data, somehow it is not adding up. So, what is the conclusion? Women are outnumbering men in exclusion, but the death rate is more or less equal. The migration rate is much lower. Then how is that within migration permanently shifted is much higher than men when men are the one who are migrating? Something which the election commission has to now either scrutinize, explain. Sir, constitutional bodies playing sides and building narrative that questions them in is equal. See, Tushar, you are right. You are right that there has been a lot of questions on the accountability, the you can say autonomy, independence of the election commission. We can't outrightly say that the election commission is working for the government, obviously. SIR timing is problematic. The data is very problematic. See, the problem is not that SIR is the problem. First is the timing of it. More than that, the data. See, if today I say to you, Tushar, and for example, UPSC comes up with a very interesting, it comes up with a certain notification. It says, only the students who know French 3 months before the examination, only the students who know French can write this year's prelims, will be allowed to sit in the examination hall. This order is not out of the box. But first is the problem of timing, that it is asking you that do you know French 3 months before the examination. Second is that it's not that you can't learn French. It is that can every aspirant learn French? Same process is SIR is okay. Very good. It is the constitutional right of the election commission to do it. It is a good process. But the problem is Bihar as a state, where literacy rates are already very low, where you will now ask everybody to fill a form. Complicated government forms. You are now taking away the rights of the voters just because they were systemically excluded. Systemic exclusion, systemic discrimination, systemic problems are now manifesting themselves where the most important right of the democracy is being taken away. In a democracy, the most important right which you have over and above everything is the right to vote, that you can choose your representative to go into the parliament, to go into the state legislature. But just because I was systemically excluded from the system, there was a gender bias, there was a caste bias, there was a literacy bias, I am not able to prove that I am a person who can vote, being a citizen also, then that is problematic in democracy. That is the problem here. That people who should be having the right to vote in all legitimate manners will not be able to vote because either they cannot fill the form, either they are not in the state at that point of time. So it is not a matter of illegal migrant or migrant. Most probably, people who should be excluded would have already entered. People who should have been included are not because of systemic biases and issues. India is not perfect. We are removing the kinks. We are a country which has multiple accesses of discrimination. And that is where we are working on it. It is not that we are still working on our issues. In a state where you know that literacy is an issue, in a state where you actually know that migration is the most important employment means, you are going to then create these questions, and the SIR data is not adding up also. I am not accusing anybody. You will also not accuse. You will not write the election commission is biased. It's just that data is not adding up. Now that creates questions. And that is where this article comes through, which is India's democracy is failing its migrant citizens. Now, if you allow me, I would like to give you an academic framework or a framework where you can write in ethics paper or in society paper about SIR. We still have gendered issues. We still have caste-based issues. We still have caste-based discrimination. We still have multiple cases where bonded labor is there. We are improving. We've not even touched 100 years of being independent properly. So still we have come a very long way. We still have a further way to go. Can I now, based on this concept, discuss this last editorial with you, which gives you a little bit of a theoretical framework, which you can use in the examination? Because data you will never remember. SIR data as it is mind boggling. Can I do that? Yes, everyone, come on. Yes, sir, come on. Yes, sir. Okay, very good. Now, see, the data which SIR has produced, one thing is common, be it women or be it men, one thing is common. It is the migrant woman and it is the migrant man who is excluded more than anyone else. Now, the SIR data is arguing that 3.5 million, which is basically 35 lakh, 4.4% of the voters have permanently migrated. This is the data which I have shown you right now also. Now the question is, this word permanent. Bihar economy is based on two types of migrations. One is called single male circular migration, which outnumbers what is called as split family migration. Split family migration means the man takes his wife and his children and then lives in slums in the urban sector. Or in this case, the man is the one who migrates, the woman and the children, they remain in the rural sector. Single male, circular, meaning in one season, he is in the rural sector, which is sowing and harvesting. And in one season, which is the industrial demand areas, he is in the urban sector. Now, the argument is that what SIR is doing, it is deeming both of these as permanent. But is it permanent? You tell me. Is this permanent migration or is this permanent migration? Even in this case, you can say this little bit of permanent. Single male circular migration, is it permanent migration? Is it? No, because it is single male circular. Now, under this concept, what they argue is that the electoral system, its revision, its updation, and its existence all are biased against migrant population. All are against migrant population. Now, migrant population already has a precarious existence in the host state and in the home state. In the host state where he travels, he is called a job stealer. There is discrimination. There is threat. Now there is also linguistic violence. There is gendered violence. There is caste violence, which happens. There's religious violence. And in the host state, he will not get or she will not get right to vote because they do not have proof of residence. So as it is, they are disenfranchised in the host state. A labor from Bihar going to Punjab, he will or she will not vote. Even no ration cards. So it's like that. In the home state, SIRs are now taking away right to vote because they are being deemed as permanently migrated, because the concept of electoral system is based on sedentary voter. Sedentary voter means the voter who is always somewhere. Now you tell me, where does this man and woman fall? You tell. In the host state, he cannot vote. And in the state which he used to belong to, he's been excluded. So therefore, this is called systemic structural discrimination. And what we do call it is disenfranchisement. The most important vote right which he holds in democracy is taken away just because he is mobile. And we all are mobile. But because we may be middle class, upper middle class, elites, we have a place to stay where somebody is waiting for us and telling us, no, he's a voter here. But for a migrant labor who has no home, nowhere, then what? Now, why is this happening? Why is this happening? The question is why. Everybody is following my line of thought, basically the article's line of thought, that there is single male migration in Bihar, there is split family migration in Bihar, that is being deemed as permanent migration. If you deem it as permanent migration, then a labor who actually is working in a host state is still not voting there, and in the home state is again being deprived of vote. Now, why is this happening? And that is where the article argues that there's a triple burden. The triple burden which creates this issue. First is administrative barrier. When you will become an IS officer, when you will become the district magistrate, when you will become the district collector, when you will become the next secretary to the home department, your own clerk or bodyguard or PSO or operator is not going to let the migrant worker meet you. I think we have enough movies to prove that it is the rural poor, it is the discriminated, the vulnerable, who do not have access to administrative structures, and concepts. So we are a country of the Lal Batti, and therefore the administrative barrier is he has no point of redressal itself. Where do you, when you are preparing for UPSC, the last thing which you think, and that too because ethics paper is there, is the rural poor, is the migrant labor. In COVID, they were an afterthought. Then it is digital literacy. It is very easy for you and me to open up a form. This time it was difficult for graduates who are going to give the UPSC examination to fill the form which UPSC gave. The UPSC prelims form was very difficult, which most of the students were finding it extremely difficult to fill. Imagine a rural migrant labor who does not have any idea to fill that. And if that is not there, then there is social exclusion. This is the systemic bias which is there. So what our electoral system is based on is an ideal voter. A voter who is sedentary, who stays at one place, who has proof of residence, who has an income, who has documents to show that he's a citizen. But what about the citizen who is living off, is alive because he has to move around, is alive because he has to go to other cities, who has no proof of residence because he has no money, he has no proof of citizenship because there is bureaucratic red tapeism in getting that document, but he is a citizen by birth. So this is where this article tries to argue that our democracy in this way is going to fail and is failing the migrant citizen. And it is not you and remember this point. This is going to happen to you and me also. If you are not an IS officer, if today you are from Bihar sitting in Bangalore, sitting in any part of Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, in any part of India, and you are part of this corporate circle where you cannot get off, or you're very limited off days, that too on a Saturday and Sunday, and there's nobody back home, you will be excluded out of the SIR, or in the process of SIR you will also be excluded, permanently migrated. But have you permanently migrated? Can you say that in the city you are working today you are going to stay there forever, that you have movable property, immovable property in that sector? Most of the youth in India today is migrating. Most of the youth in India is not in the city which they belong to. Most of UPSC aspirants are in Rajendra Nagar and in Delhi waiting. But if there is nobody back home, they will get excluded. So the idea is very simple. This is a little bit of a theoretical argument, but what we can take away from it is this. What are the issues which are creating this systemic bias? And can circular male migration actually be deemed as permanent migration? Perfect, Shivani. That is why we are here. The argument is that you cannot argue that this SIR process should be final. You have to first also take into account the systemic issues which are there. Sorted, everyone. A question which can appear in GS paper 2 as governance, GS paper 4 as ethics question, whatever you like. The precarious nature of a migrant worker's electoral existence should be taken into consideration in SIRs. Discuss, meaning a proper intensive revision should take into account the limbo, the gap, the space in which a migrant worker is there between the host and the home, and he does not lie in either. He's neither and nor, and therefore he will lose the most important right of being a democratic citizen of this beautiful country, which is to right to vote. That is what makes our democracy vibrant. So therefore, migrant workers should randomly not be ignored they should never be an afterthought. What would be an appropriate conclusion See, Dhwani, the appropriate conclusion should be that the government of India should take steps to make sure that the election commission should take steps in order to make sure that the migrant workers, the solution which this article has given is problematic. It says flexible mobile voter IDs. That cannot be the case because voting in India is based on constituency and being a temporary resident of that place. It is based on where you are coming from, where you have your representative from. But for us, the way would be remove systemic issues, take migrant workers into consideration, and maybe have a special scheme for them. You always leave it to the government of India and its wisdom to decide what they want to do. I hope you understand this point, right? Legally speaking, ECI being constitutional body can SC order them to do something, and they would have to comply, Tushar. If the Supreme Court says something and gives a certain judgment where it says that you have to do something, they will be obligated to. But the Supreme Court is staying away from. They've just asked for very comprehensive SIR data. Let us see, that undertaking is still sub judice. So I am not going to say anything because it's to the wisdom of the Supreme Court to decide what they will do with the SIR. But the timing and the way it is happening is problematic. That's a separate issue altogether. Right. Okay. 4 heavy topics. Everybody's on the same page with me. Nothing out of the box till this point. Let's do a mini revision here. What have we understood? We have understood that we have understood what? OST is the regime which takes or which governs or creates a framework for space. Then India has a commercial framework, but not a national framework. That is creating challenges. Challenges include red tapeism. Challenges include the concept of what is called as no insurance policy, no insurance framework, the concept of accident investigation, the issues related to how there are multiple ministries, no IPR regime also. Very good. Then we discussed the concept of data point, and this article taken together. There are more questions emerging. Permanently migrated issue. Women still are more than men. And the concept of a sedentary citizen and the challenges, the triple burden, administrative, the issue related to the concept of social exclusion, and also the digital literacy issue. Then we discussed how the electoral roll is made available in the image PDF format, not text PDF format. And the Supreme Court under the Kamal Nath versus ECI case has said that it is in the right of the ECI to decide in what format it wants to share. These were the 4 heavy articles we discussed. Now smaller articles, if everybody's on the same page with me and we're in the right zone, right? Are we clear? Now we're going to the prelims oriented areas. Sorted? Yes, sir. Beautiful, sir. Okay. Now, for all the Dream 11 Jungli Rummy fans in the class, I hope so there is no one. But the Lok Sabha has passed a bill banning any online gaming platform which is based on money and is based on monetary gains. It has only crossed the Lok Sabha, has to cross the Raj Sabha, but there's a lot of political consensus here that this should be the case. So the Promotion and Regulation of Online Gaming Bill 2025 by a voice vote passed the Lok Sabha, under which it is going to prohibit offering, operating, facilitating, advertising, promoting, and participating in any online gaming platform which involves money. So, for example, you create your fantasy leagues and you put in that money and you get something. All of that is going to go out of context. The bill has provided for creation of an authority, centralized authority, which is going to then, in a way, promote esports. Esports is good. Any online gaming platform which is based on skill is being promoted, but is based on chance or algorithms is being, in a way, being seen as detrimental. Multiple suicides have happened. Multiple mental disorders have emerged because of people losing money in these platforms. Now, what are the regulations saying? What are the punishments? See, Dream 11, Pokerbazi, Jungli Rummy, these are the platforms which are in a way at risk. They are saying it is a skill based game, not gambling. But the government is saying it is pure gambling. It is based on online money gambling. And the industry is saying it's a very big industry. How can you regulate it? First, it was regulated through GST. But now the point is any place where you are going to put money and gain something, where an algorithm is going to decide, it will be banned. What are the punishments? You can, a bill proposes imprisonment for 3 years and 1 crore for any entity which is helping or creating this online game. You cannot advertise. Most probably, the Indian jersey is going to change because Dream 11 cannot be on the Indian jersey now because it does not allow advertisement of online money gaming platforms or any platform which is based on gambling. And if you still do it, there are again penalties for that. So this again is a proposed bill till this point. It has not become a law. It is a bill passed by Lok Sabha, but with the way there is a, you can say, a lot of consensus politically, this should pass Rajya Sabha also and then become a law. So this is something which is being considered important in the context of what is happening. Totally opposite to what is happening in the West, where betting platforms are properly regulated and encouraged. In India, we are going the other way, where people are being duped. People don't understand that it is an algorithm. It is made in a certain way that it will give you small gains and then make you lose a lot of money. That is the whole concept here, right? So this topic should again be something which we'll be discussing very soon. Till this point, we all should be on the same page, right? Mental health issue, addiction to easy game. Yeah, perfect. Right? Now, last two articles, straightforward articles. First one, India just yesterday successfully test fired its intercontinental ballistic missile, which India does not call intercontinental, but is deemed as intercontinental ballistic missile, which is Agni 5. But this time they did it with what is called as multiple re-entry vehicles, which is called the MIT or MIRV technology, which is multiple independent targetable re-entry vehicles. It's an ICBM. So Agni series itself is surface to surface ballistic missile. Ballistic missile means it takes a parabolical path rather than a cruise missile which hugs the terrain. So it's a parabolic path. Agni 5 missile. Now, for the world, it is called an intercontinental ballistic missile because its range is more than 5,000 kilometers. Because it can target Russia, China, and most of the problematic neighbors are under consideration. What you should know is 3 stage, all solid fuel. Second, range 5,000 to 8,000 based on the payload. Third is Agni series itself, from short range to intermediate to long range. It is a very important ballistic missile which India has produced. But why this one is even more important is because we have used MIRV technology, which is its warhead splits into multiple, you can say, re-entry vehicles, and they can independently target multiple. So A, B, C, and D. If you launch a ballistic missile, it can only hit one, C or B or D. But what happens is the warhead splits into 4 independent warheads, which then can hit 4 different targets. This puts India in a very selected group of nations, which is US, UK, Russia, France, China, which have MIRV technology. India now also has tested Agni with MIRV. Very important because gives us the capability to strike multiple nations which are considered to be problematic in our existence. Now, this again is pure static defense science and technology. But again, I'm giving you the information so that you can use it. You will get this PDF in the Telegram channel. You can use the handle Abhishek Mishra History, and you will find it on Telegram. Now, the last topic is the ISA, which is International Solar Alliance, and the concept of Global Solar Alliance. And recently, research hubs are going to be established. So the news is that the ISA is going to set up 17 centers of research in the different countries which are part of the ISA to do more research on solar power to create a Silicon Valley for solar. Now, the question is, what is the ISA? So, ISA, International Solar Alliance, was a body which was announced by India and France in 2015 after the Paris Climate Conference. In 2017, it came into existence. Gurugram is its place of headquarters. Thereafter, it is basically a body which was going to come into force once you had 100 ratifications, which we have, out of the 119 which have signed it, all UN members, and basically it promotes the idea of the global south cooperating together over solar technology. India has close to 119 gigawatt as of right now in solar power. India has a lot of solar potential and it wants to use that as a leverage, soft power, to bring all stakeholders together. So again, this is the news. This is the static portion. I hope that you will revise ISA before the examination in that regard. So we have discussed 7 to 8 important articles, 4 heavy, 3 simple. 4 heavy, OST, the concept of space law, then the concept of image PDF, text PDF, and the electoral roll. Then we discussed the concept of what is called as the migrant labor, SIR data, data point. Then 3 basic updates for you. Agni 5 MIRV technology has been tested. Then ISA is developing research hubs in 17 countries. And last but not the least, which is the concept of what is today called as the you can say rather the bill which may change the landscape of online gaming in that regard. So I hope that this session has been useful. On 23rd, a very important announcement is coming through. In UPSC preparation, you generally need a good and reliable companion, mentorship, questions, multiple questions emerge, and most probably that announcement is going to change your preparation level and the way you are going to, in a way, interact with Unacademy. Thank you. Take care and bye bye.